Hello, Guilty Feminists. This week, we are talking to some European reproductive rights specialists about abortion in Europe. There's a lot of reporting, of course, about the dire situation in the United States of America, but we forget that in continental Europe, there are all sorts of restrictions, sometimes bans, issues with access to abortion. And this podcast really allows us to find out what's happening in Europe. Since we've recorded it, we've had the good news of partial decriminalisation in the United Kingdom. Of course, medical professionals can still be criminalised, so there's still a way to go. We still need to keep focusing on what's next and fighting here in the UK. But in the meantime, allow our panel of experts to talk to you about what's happening in Europe and always, very importantly, what we can do to raise awareness and actually bring help. We really hope you enjoy this episode. I found it very engaging and educational to make. Here it is. Hello, Guilty Feminists. This is Deborah, and today we are talking about abortion rights in Europe. We often think, oh, the problem is in America. There's this huge problem in America, but we don't have that here. But abortion rights are very much under attack in Europe too, and successes to erode abortion rights, or in fact eradicate them in America, only make anti-abortion activists here bolder. With me to discuss this are three experts. Mara Clarke, who has been on the podcast twice before, but this time has assembled a panel to talk specifically about what's going on in Europe. She is the co-founder of Supporting Abortions for Everyone, otherwise known as SAFE, S-A-F-E, and she is a member of Abortion Without Borders. With her is Anton Van Dyck, founder of Companion, and Justyna Wydrzyńska, founder of Women on the Net and Abortion Dream Team member, Abortion Without Borders. The first thing I'd like to ask you is, what are some of the obstacles and barriers that we in the UK or around the world might not imagine are faced by regular people who need to get abortions in Europe? So, i.e., not the families of oligarchs. Mara, do you want to begin?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, I am American, and I started my abortion activism in the U.S. And when I moved to the UK, and it was interesting because in the UK, it's like, oh, abortion, it's available till 24 weeks. But then you realize that there's actually a big diversity disparity in access to abortion, both in the UK and across Europe. Because while the laws are okay in most countries, something being legal doesn't make something accessible. So almost every country in Europe where abortion is legal protects a doctor's right to say no to abortion over a woman or pregnant person's right to have an abortion. So you have these incredibly high numbers, like in Romania, 80% of public health institutions won't do abortions. And what's kind of gross is sometimes those same doctors who are saying no in the public health institutions will do abortions in private clinics, but for 10 times the money.
My
In
God.
I know it's crazy. In Italy, 72% of doctors won't do abortions unless you're in the southern half of the country. Then it's 95% of doctors won't do abortions. Croatia, it's 65%. Recently, everybody was so proud of France for putting abortion in the constitution, but we've all seen a massive increase in people from France having to go to the Netherlands. There's the fact that only 6 countries in Europe allow abortion on request after 12 or 14 weeks. So imagine all the kinds of birth control you can be on, or just you miss a period, or you don't notice, or whatever, and then poof, you're over the legal limit in your country. And that's for like us regular people. And then if you throw in people who have additional barriers, so people who don't live in a city center, so they're far away from their closest provider, people who are undocumented or for whatever reason can't access the local healthcare service, places where abortion isn't free, so people need money to get one, people with physical or cognitive disabilities, which makes healthcare access difficult in general. So basically, across Europe, this in many parts of Europe, There's two countries where abortion is basically completely banned, which are Poland and Malta. Also, actually, sorry, four countries: Poland, Malta, Andorra, and Liechtenstein. But even in the countries with legal abortion, it's very, very, very hard to get for millions and millions of people. And the difference between Europe and the US is that the US has this massive, well funded network of grassroots abortion funds, and Europe has a very small but growing network. So the US has over 100 of these groups. Europe has about 15, but Europe has twice the population.
Wow. Um, so there's a real access problem, in other words. Anton, can you tell me a bit about Companion and why you're here today?
Yes. So companion is really something that responds to the problems that Mara already talked about. In Belgium, we have an abortion law where it's legal up to 12 weeks, but only after you have to wait for 6 days. They call it a reflection period, but really it's a very strong indicator of what it's supposed to do, and it's supposed to program people to be ashamed of what they're deciding on. And that's sort of this whole complex ecosystem that's been created, in which people need to make a decision about what they want to do with their body.
Mm,
And there's so many situations, and so many reasons why people only after 12 weeks would decide to go for an abortion. And we saw that, because that's only accessible for us in the Netherlands or the UK, that uh, a lot of people just don't get there, or they get there with a lot of difficulty because they fall completely out of any sort of support system. Companion was designed to give people in need that type of support. So basically, what our service does is we provide a very discreet ride and companionship to a clinic in the Netherlands, and we don't even decide when we ride. It's the client that says we need you, and our questions are purely okay. When and where do we need to be there, and what time is your appointment? Generally, the people that ask for our assistance are either very lonely, they don't have a support network. They're financially very vulnerable. And they're just in need of a friendly stranger that can help them out so they can take control back of their life.
It actually really surprises me that abortion is any issue in Belgium because we think of Brussels as the sort of, the home of the European Union's parliament, and therefore the human rights sort of springs from there. Uh, how has that happened? Because abortion became illegal in the 1990s, is that right, in Belgium, which seems quite late, given in the UK it was the 60s. That's really quite late. Uh, what? Why is it such an issue in Belgium? Do you think, Anton?
Well, we have a very strong, organized, conservative political faction here, and they are embedded through pillarization in our educational system and the system of our healthcare. So they control 60% of the schools and a lot of the big hospitals, and being in sort of a cradle to grave presence, it provides you with a lot of control of how people think and look at the world. For instance, in teaching plans in these conservative schools, they often talk about committing abortion. The only other thing that you would commit, of course, is murder. And it's never explicitly said like that, but it's one of those other things that really narrows the frame that people reflect on when they think about terminating a pregnancy. And the result of that is a decades-long policy siege, and that we see also today in how these political factions behave themselves. Their strategy is very much we just wait them out. We have more resources, we have more people in key positions, so we just wait them out. We demotivate anyone who's trying to get involved, and that's how they were able to stall the implementation of an abortion law in Belgium up until the 90s. And it
Mm,
took another 10 years for the implementation of financing of that healthcare practices as well. Because only in the early 2000s, people were receiving funding or state healthcare, for deciding to end the pregnancy. Before that, they had to cough up more than 1,000 euros themselves, and that's very much the strategy today as well.
So it's not at all the way we would imagine it. Are you constantly lobbying to change that situation? Is there a push, and how well known is that campaign, and how many people agree with it? Does it have a lot of traction, or is it very difficult to get that talked about?
The irony is that we've had a stable majority for abortion law, for abortion reform, for almost three legislatures right now. So we've had a majority. We know who would vote on what, but this conservative faction just keep on blocking it as a condition for their participation in government.
Hmm.
So that makes lobbying and campaigning extremely difficult because, the other side has no problem saying, we're going to put democracy on hold for this specific instance, so that everything else can move along.
Mm.
Now, what we are seeing, and that's a very positive thing that I just want to underline here as well, is that especially among the younger generation, we're seeing a lot of mobilization as well. And the people that have been in the fight since the 70s, they have never stopped fighting. They're still there. So gradually our movement, it's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. No one is losing courage, even though we have to fight for millimeters. It's something that we just keep on doing. And then recently, we launched a big campaign, and it proved to be very effective in putting it on top of the agenda in public consciousness. We got so many volunteer requests that we were unable to process it all. So that's
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 great.
that's a really wonderful thing. But on the other hand, there's this sense that, we've been lobbying by the book for so long and things haven't changed,
Mm.
that we are sort of in this mindset now of, okay, how can we drastically escalate the situation to ensure that this legislation is gonna get through parliament, in a democratic way, of course, huh?
Mhm.
But it is something that we're thinking about. And we've been prepping the reports, we've been presenting them with objective facts, and they just keep getting ignored. So now we are looking at how can we fight this information war, not only through factual reports, but also through popular culture. How can we mobilize that to create an even bigger critical mass?
I mean, this is an extraordinary work that you are doing, and in the face of great hardship. Justina, I know that how difficult it is in Poland, and I had some activists on the podcast some years ago from Poland, and it's a very different story in Poland, isn't it?
Yes and no. When we compare the obstacles which Mara mentioned, they're almost the same. We have to add only to this the human factor. I mean, the members of the families, because in Poland, I would say that we have the best access to abortion pills. Really, the best in Europe. Everyone in Poland can order abortion pills from Women Help Women website or Women on Web website and have them at home.
Is it legal
Yes,
though?
it's legal. This is the difference, that this is legal. We can do it. Yes,
Really?
at every up to around 22 weeks legally, uh, and without asking anyone for the permission to do it. So this is the difference, and I think this is the biggest advantage of it. That medical abortion is not regulated, so we can do whatever we want with the pills. We can have at home, we can order them, and we can use them.
But an abortion where you go in and ask for a termination is not
Yes,
legal.
in hospitals, it's not legal. So if I, for example, go to any gynecologist and ask for abortion, like on demand, I will not get it. But then I have another option to do it by myself.
That's
Yes,
extraordinary. But there was
that's true.
in 2020, it used to be legal to have an abortion, to go in and ask a doctor, an
No,
abortion
no, no.
provider to have an abortion in the case of rape and
No,
incest?
it's a different. The law we have right now, it comes from 93. And no one at the time knew that there will be some magical abortion pills. So the only situation in 93 was to get abortion in the hospital by a doctor. And there were three cases: the situation of sexual violence, and when the pregnant person health or life was at risk, and the third was the situation of some diseases with or fetal malformation in fetus. So the constitutional tribunal changed the law now in 2020, but only in this case of fetal malformation. So we still have legal abortion in the hospitals because of the sexual violence and when our life or health is at risk, but still medical abortion is not regulated. So we don't have pills registered for abortion purpose, but we can order them online. And it's legal for every person who will do it by itself. Yes. So this is why the
Poland has a
situation is
wonderful
much, much different. We think that there are a lot of barriers, but they are. I mean, for example, the tax we have to pay for pills, and how we distribute, how the pills are distributed to Poland. This is the obstacle which was made by the previous government, because in Polish law, it's tough to understand, to explain even, so I will try. In the law it's written that if some medication not register in Poland, so I can have 5 lowest boxes, or like lowest amount of pills for the medicine which is not registered, so I can order them or buy them outside of Poland and bring them home. So this is the situation with misoprostol and mifepristone pill, because it's not registered in Poland. So I can go to any other country and I can buy it and bring home 5 slowest boxes of this kind of medicine. And till around 2016, in Polish pharmaceutical law, it was written that I can deliver them, and it was not specified what delivering means. So I could bring it by myself. I could order them by a post. And then, because the pills were very popular from around 2006 in Poland, they changed, not by a law, but some kind of regulation which came from Ministry of Health, that that distributing means to bring only by yourself, but personally. So we are not able right now to order them online. We can order them online, but still I have to bring them home by myself. But we have the best organization ever, like Women Help Women and Women on Web, which found a way to pass by the custom office and deliver the pills directly to people who are ordered them. So this is the situation right now, which I think is the best in Europe. So we have the best abortion access to abortion pills in Europe right now, and everybody can use it. But when we have the abortion pills, still there are people who are living with us, which can make problems. For example, to inform police about the situation that we want to use the abortion pills, or take them away from us. For example, we have a lot of stories, like a partner, especially men, who take away pills, or like swallow them, or just throw them to the toilet, just not let us
God.
to use those abortion pills. So the obstacles I see, they are like kind of similar, but the situation, the reality in Poland is much better than in other countries. It looks like this is kind of utopia for all of us, but this is the reality. as Abortion Without Borders, which me and Mara are in this network, we every year we help more than 40,000 people in Poland to get access to abortion, and mostly these are the abortion pills. So we know that people are using them a lot in their homes, and even we are those people who use them by ourselves. In 2000, for example, I used them in 2006 when nobody know how to order them or how to use them at the time. And we, I think, what we want to have in country right now, and we wait if the situation will change a little with new president, is that abortion pills will be available in not only in the healthcare system but also outside of the healthcare system, because we are used to this, that we have a good access to abortion pills.
Okay, so what are you wanting to change?
So first of all, we don't want anyone to go to a jail for helping in abortion, because in Polish law it's written that if you help with access to abortion, for example, sending, like, ordering pills or doing the abortion, so you can go to a jail for 3 years right now. And
Were you arrested
no,
for
I wasn't
intent?
arrested. My house was searched to find the
Right.
pills the police thought that I'm selling, but they didn't find any pills except the one I have for my own use. But I was charged and then sentenced by sending my own abortion package for other person. It's not.
Right.
I We appealed, and the decision of a court of appeal was that I have to retire because not properly seated judge. She was nominated politically, so the decision she took was not the proper. So this is why I'm waiting for a new hearings. I don't know when it will be. So what we really, really want from this government is that they decriminalize helping in abortion. This is what we really need, and this need is what is like we need it right now, because we have a lot of stories, and we have not only stories from Poland, but we hear it from, like, many, especially from UK, how women can be criminalized for doing their own abortion and those who are helping them in abortions. So we really need this kind of law. No, none and any person should go to a jail for helping on doing or having this right to do whatever they want with their own bodies.
So the woman you helped, what was her circumstance?
The story started in February 2020, the end of February. It was like everybody knew that COVID is coming, and there were like the decisions from different countries that they will close the borders. So for us, the activists, it was like, okay, what will happen with delivering of abortion pills from outside of Poland, because they are delivered from different countries in Europe? It means that none in country will receive the abortion packages. So when she contacted one of the organization in the Abortion Without Borders network, we start immediately to look for other solutions. So she couldn't go abroad because this kind of blackmail, and they have a few years old kid, and she was afraid to leave the kid with this husband, so she decided to go to Germany with the kid. So, and this was the situation, that she was blackmailed to call for by this man to call the police about the child kidnapping. So she was afraid to go to Germany, and she want ask us to help her with access to abortion pills. And she also informed us that her email and phone is controlled, so she is deleting all the connections with us. And my colleagues called me and asked me if I have like pills for my own use, and I said yes, but what is the story? Why this person cannot order the pills by herself? So they told me she ordered, but they are not delivered yet, and it's more than 2 weeks she's waiting. And the whole story which was behind this, for me, a person who was also living in a violent marriage, so not only mental but also physical. Like when I heard from a other person that she's controlled, her phone is controlled, and her email is controlled, so I knew exactly that there is more behind this. So I decided that, yes, I will send the pills. And my fault only was that I used a kind of special fast way of sending packages in Poland, where I had to use my own phone number. And this is why when he informed the police that she received the package and they came to their home to take this package, on the envelope there was my phone number. And this is how they got to me and immediately start the investigation if it was my first package of pills I sent or there was more.
So you're coming up for your second round of court cases, is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. And I don't know when it will be. I don't know how it look like because there could be a judge who will decide, okay, I have an evidence. It will be one hearing. I will take a decision. Or maybe another judge will decide that no, I have to listen all the witnesses, and it will be not only one hearing again.
So you're campaigning for nobody to be criminalized for helping somebody get abortion pills at the moment, because the only way you can have an abortion is through pills, but the only way you can get the pills is if you get them yourself. So nobody can help you get them.
That's right.
And sometimes that's just not
That's right.
possible.
And we have a lot
Um,
of examples how even if you are able to get legal abortion in the healthcare system, the system is denying you this right, and you cannot get access to a doctor. You cannot get access to hospital where you can do this legal abortion. So the only one right now solution in Poland is to fight with the doctors and force them to do abortion, inform media about this, and make the case very visible in the society, or use abortion pills in your home, or travel abroad to different countries with abortion without borders.
Hello, Guilty Feminists. We have shows at Soho Theatre on the 18th and 19th of July at 9:15 p.m. We are back live. Both nights we're showcasing some brilliant artists who will be at the Edinburgh Festival, with your faves doing 5 to 10 minutes of their fringe shows, including Grace Petrie, Jess Robinson, Sakisa, and more. If you are not going to be able to get up to Edinburgh this year, this is a brilliant way of having mini microwave Edinburgh in London. If you are able to get up to Edinburgh, this is a brilliant way of window shopping to see which shows you might like to see in full. If you can't get to either show, you will be able to hear all of this on The Guilty Feminist, of course. For tickets, go to guiltyfeminist.com and click on live shows. Anton, your situation is so different in Belgium. It's so strange that these countries all have such different situations and different laws. You need to increase political pressure to make abortion more accessible in Belgium. How are you intending on doing that?
So the organization that we started, Companion, we intentionally made it so that a companion is this umbrella phenomenon. In the first phase of development, you can be a companion by driving people to the Netherlands and supporting that way. But as we tell the story of our activism, we want to make it more and more relatable. We want to tell the stories not only from our passengers, but also from our volunteers, so that people recognize themselves in these stories. And while we do that, we also intend on broadening what people understand about being a companion. You can be a companion just by helping out your neighbor, by looking at a problem instead of looking away. And that's what we are really trying to do. We are trying to um, use our assistance program explicitly also as a political movement where people can be a companion by speaking up to their local parliamentarians. We want to do backyard campaigning, very much so. What we mean by that is we locate all the different political actors that are currently blocking uh, these new laws that are keeping the system from changing, and we in their backyards, we organize political pressure groups so that it doesn't feel like a faraway problem for them anymore. Suddenly, it's something that happens within their constituency. They see that, oh, suddenly my constituency cares about this. What's going on? So
Mm.
that's a big part of our strategy that we are pushing hard for.
Can you tell us about your volunteers?
Sure, I consider myself a charlatan compared to them, because they have their own stories. Um, so our volunteers, but basically 60-40 women, men. So there's a very relevant proportion there of also guys that are wanting to help out,
Yeah,
and
it does seem like Belgium is good. Like you're a man. Don't mean to,
yeah, yeah.
you know, state the obvious there. But also recently we had Neil Dateron who came over from Belgium to London. He's the head of the European Parliamentary Forum for Reproductive and Sexual Rights. And I don't see a lot of men in the UK getting involved in this. Why are men in Belgium uh, so active in this, do you think?
Oh, I think that's
Like 40% of volunteers taking women
yeah.
to Amsterdam men. Like, why is that the case?
Well, I can only talk about my own personal upbringing, which was very feminist. I wasn't raised with any type of, um, you know, hatred or sense of superiority towards women, and I think that sort of just translated into all of the rest. And I think that sort of happens on a macro scale here as well. And I'm not saying, it's the land of milk and honey. There's a lot of scary stuff out there as well, both in terms of institutions as well as on the internet, but it's something that we are very privileged with. And the story that we also try to tell to volunteers in our call for volunteers is, we don't really care about your past, we care about what you're doing today. And what I mean by that is, some of our volunteers are people who've been in relationships where their ex-partner had to go to the Netherlands, and they feel very regretful for not being there for them during that time, and it's their way of making things right. I think diversity also attracts diversity. People know that we're a diverse group, so they know they can be accepted, and that's what makes us such a nice colorful bunch. We have people who went there by themselves, who had to take the train to the Netherlands, or a bus, and they have these crazy stories about how it went. We have ex-partners, we have students, we have retired people, we have people in active politics, we have people who are retired from politics. We try to recruit as broad as possible. Yeah. I
That's
wish I could give a grand analysis on it, but it's
no. I am intrigued. But can I ask, is there anything that our listeners can do? Obviously, if they're in Belgium, they can become volunteers for Companion and they can campaign with Companion to help you in your efforts to push against government regulations. And as you say, allow representatives to know that their constituents care about this, which is always matters because they want to hold on to power. Is there anything else our listeners outside Belgium can do?
well, yeah. There's lots. First, I think I'm gonna talk to my core target audience, which is guys that look like me, being like they're bold and they look a bit angry. So people presume they're angry incels, but they're not. It's I think um, when you're a guy, there's also room for you within the feminist movement, and that's something that you really need to get your head around, and just dare to do that. There's this whole current of positive masculinity that I think has a lot to contribute to feminism, which I think is a very good thing. And also, just in general, I think we just need to be more open and accepting about when people decide to talk about termination of pregnancy. It's 1 in 5 women decide during their lifetime that they're gonna have to terminate a pregnancy. 1 in 8 pregnancies gets terminated. In Belgium, it's 20,000 women who make that decision every year. It's something that happens so often, and this whole veil of shame, it only remains intact if we allow it to stay intact. So we can all fight it in our own ways, and I really believe that everyone can play a role in that.
Thank you, Anton. And Justyna, what is it that you would like us to do if we're not in Poland to help
So,
you?
but I have also something to say when you are in Poland. So maybe I will start with this. And on 8th of March, we opened the first physical abortion center in Warsaw. It's a place where people can come and ask for abortion. They can do pregnancy tests for free. They can do abortions with us, the medical abortion with us. So if they have their own pills, they can come to our Abotak center and spend this few hours with our support. And also, when you are visiting Warsaw, you have to go on Wiejska Street, Wiejska 9 Street, which is the center of biggest decisions done in Poland, taken in Poland, because there is also a Polish parliament and Cancellery of the President. And you can visit this place because there is a very nice merch to buy, and you can, by buying these t-shirts, hoodies and socks and other stuff, you can pay for somebody's abortion. So please visit this place and spend some time with us, drink a coffee with us, talk with us, and have a good time there. We want this Abotak Abortion Center be on the TripAdvisor because it's very nice and cozy place.
And if we're not with you and we don't want to buy t-shirts because we're trying to buy less, can we just give you money and have you not give us a
Yes, of course,
t-shirt?
this is what I want.
Because I'm really trying not to do any absolute minimal merch now because of landfill and stuff. So tell me tell me how I can just give you money and you can give me nothing but the satisfaction of knowing that I've helped somebody who needed an abortion.
So we started a campaign, be a best friend of Abortion Center Abotak. And if you go on our website, on our social media, you can find this campaign and donate us with some amount of money regularly. So we can, because we are looking for 1,000 regular donors, which can pay for us something around 10 or 10 pounds each month. So we can be able to work for long and long. So if you want to be a best
Okay, and if people have only got £10 and they don't have £10 every month, or they've got £1 or whatever, where can they donate?
Yes, there is also on abortion. Abortion. You can always support like all the organizations which are in the network of Abortion Without Borders. Every of us have accounts, and to save, to Abortion Anna Amsterdam, and to Abortion Dream Team. To each organization, people can donate the amount they have or they want to donate.
Okay, so that's abortionwithoutborders.org?
Abortion.eu.
Abortion.eu. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's just abortion.eu. There's no. Okay, so go to abortion.eu if you want to help financially with abortions in Europe, with Abortions Without Borders. Mara, I need to ask you for like an overview of Europe and what else is going on and how else can we help. Is there a push to rob us of our abortion rights? There's some good news here. There's some moves forward, but are there moves away from? And what do we need to be aware of that's coming? Please give us a report of the situation and the overview.
I'd be delighted or traumatized to do so. So, Justyna and Anton have both spoken extensively about the situations in their country. Most people know abortion is an issue in Poland. Probably nobody knows that abortion is an issue in Belgium. And we have this in multiple countries across Europe. And I can't actually think of a country in Europe where there isn't a problem for at least one, if not more, groups of people in trying to access abortion. Um, so the overview is, I think that we know the right is rising, right? And we see in almost, last week we had elections in Romania, Croatia, Poland, and Portugal. And the majority results of those were disappointing in terms of skewing towards the right. And what happens when there are any right-wing people around, I don't understand what happens, but people who we would expect to be champions of human rights and other sort of values just get scared. And suddenly, even though they're like, oh no, we believe gay people have rights, we believe women should be able to have abortions, we don't really care who uses what bathroom. But the minute there's a conservative in the room spewing their vile, completely anti-rights, anti-gender nonsense, instead of being like, shut up, you are a fool, suddenly there's this, oh, we can't be seen as too extreme, we have to compromise. And I've been in meetings with representatives from massive NGOs who are terrified because there's one or two right wingers in their parliament that their work is suddenly going to be seen as too extreme and they're going to lose their funding. And that the anti-abortion people or the anti-rights people will paint us as crazy radicals and make fun of us on social media. And they treat this like a big problem instead of how they should treat it, like these people are mosquitoes and we should swat them. And I can't understand why this keeps happening. But we've seen it in the UK. We've seen like what our quote unquote Labour government is throwing under the bus. And it's actually been proven that when people come for abortion rights, that's the first step in the let's get rid of all human rights. So first it's abortion, then it's LGBTQIA, then it's migrant rights, then it's poor people. And I'm an abortion person, so my goal is just to make sure everybody who wants or needs an abortion can get one. And what we're really trying to do is make it so that every country has a grassroots organization that can help people get abortions, particularly the people facing the most barriers to abortion. And I want to make sure that those activists are in place as governments and healthcare systems start to fail us. And the other thing, Justyna said, donate to Abotak or donate to SAFE, supporting abortions for everyone. We're supporting the grassroots activists who are helping people get abortions. Very often these groups are not registered charities. They're all volunteer. Almost everybody is doing this work for the love of it, while the opposition is swimming in money. They are absolutely swimming in money. But people working in sexual and reproductive health and abortion, not only is there no money for that work in Europe because everybody thinks Europe is perfect, but what little money there was globally has been severely reduced by cuts in USAID, cuts to international development funding by the UK, by the Netherlands, by Belgium. It's a real trend. So
Anton's just trying to pop in here.
Yeah,
Anton,
go.
did you have a relevant point?
Yeah, I just want to really underline Mara's statement about being outgunned, if I can call it like that. For we did an analysis here. For every euro that we spend on campaigning for better abortion laws, the other side is spending 200. So it's this massive asymmetry in lobbying capability, if I can call it like that. That is
We need
making
to
it such an
donate, don't
uphill.
we? How can we ever compete with the money that they have?
We
Because
do a
there's
lot
money
more with
coming
less, Deb.
from What was that? We do a lot more with less.
We do a lot more with a lot less. So just to throw some numbers at you, as Justyna said, Abortion Without Borders is a coalition of 9 groups, some NGOs, some anarchist collectives, and we do more abortions in one day than the Polish government does legal abortions every year.
Wow.
So we do between 125 and 130 Polish abortions for people resident in Poland every day, with a fraction, like one big NGO salary could fund SAFE's work for a year and a half. And if we're talking about a corporate CEO salary, I don't know, maybe 5 years. Like our budget is 150,000 euro. SAFE's budget is 150,000 euro. And with that money, we are funding an entire European movement. We need more because a lot of people can take pills. Poland has this lovely situation where the person taking the pills can't be criminalized, but anybody helping them can. Other countries like the UK, like Hungary, like Italy, like Malta will criminalize the person taking the pill. And that was the same in the Republic of Ireland before the referendum. There's a fear of prosecution, even though maybe people haven't been prosecuted. So we need to help people learn ways to take the pills in ways that keep everybody legally safe, both the people taking the pills and the activists. But not everybody can take pills, and those people have to travel abroad. And those abortions abroad, just the abortion, is going to cost between 500 and 2,000 euro. And then you add on
And the travel
and accommodation.
And also the trauma of traveling back when, you might be feeling unwell and all of that.
Actually, most people feel relief, but you're right. There is a bit of soreness and bleeding. And
I've talked to friends from Ireland who said that they really wish they didn't have to travel, and getting on a easy jet after that, it's just they wanted to be in their bed.
100%.
They wanted to be home.
100%.
They wanted to be with their own TV and their hot water bottle and their family and their cat or whatever. And instead they're queuing up for a Ryanair flight, and it's not fair. Please keeping us abreast of what's going on. And right now, Mara, is the best thing we can do to go to abortion.eu and donate money. What else could we do? If we follow you at Safe on Instagram and so forth, supporting abortions for everyone. Although, are you on Instagram? It's got to be shorter, so it's forever, isn't it?
It's supporting abortions #4ever. And the Safe website is supportingabortions.eu.
Okay. Are there instructions there as what else we can do to help campaign? We know that the thing that makes any community or society more happy and prosperous is women's and other people who can get pregnant's ability to decide how, when, and if they have children. That's the biggest thing you could do for the whole happiness of society. Everybody, not just the people who can get pregnant, not just women, everybody. And we see what happens in countries where there is absolutely no access to contraception and abortion. There is a massive, massive push right now, driven from the same people who are bringing America Project 2025 to spread around the world no access to contraception, no access to abortion. We're seeing these massive pronatal movements. Women should be pumping out as many babies as possible, ideally white ones. We're seeing this rise. And if we don't speak up now, we will be in a society much more akin to Gilead from The Handmaid's Tale, and much less akin to the democracies that we are lucky, or approximate democracies we're lucky enough to live in now. So we must speak out and tell our representatives this is important to us. This is important to the happiness and health of our society. This is important to the happiness and mental health of our society, to the children that we already have, who need to be looked after. A lot of people, women seeking abortions, already have children. Like the woman you were talking about in an abusive relationship, has a child she needs to take care of, cannot bring another child into an abusive relationship, does not wish to. This is a collection of cells. It is not a person. And we need to be very, very, very careful about how we talk about those things. And it's really interesting in your language, Anton, saying committing abortion, which we don't have that. There's a big push to try and stop people saying committing suicide, because that again puts it into people's minds that it's a crime, because it once was named as a crime. Now we would never see it that way. I say never, God knows what's coming back to us, but we don't say committing abortion. So of course there's a whole piece of emotive language there that we don't even think about. We'd never have that. And language is so damn important. It's really, really important. So what we can do to eradicate those stigmas, that's ways in which we can contribute when conversations come up, or how we begin conversations, or if we say, would you be interested in donating to this? The more we talk about it, the more people go, oh, I also had an abortion. That's not me saying that, I haven't had one, but the more people do say that and normalize it, the less people feel shame around it.
Exactly. I think the time is too fragile to be a silent proponent of laws and legal frameworks like this. We can't afford to be silent anymore.
I absolutely agree. And, for some people having abortions, like it is, you mentioned a clump of cells. And but for me, it's not, is it a clump of cells? Is it a baby? Where does life begin? For me, it's at what point do we think it is okay for the government to compel someone to continue a pregnancy? Right? This is what it's all about. And it's also about personal morality, right? Like, who is in why aren't we looking at the opposite way? Isn't it a moral decision to know that you can't take care of a child right now, or another child right now? Isn't that the moral decision? And who can make that decision other than the person who is pregnant? We say no one. And Anton mentioned 1 in 5 in an abortion statistic. Actually, globally, it's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 women will have an abortion in her lifetime. And for people who can't donate, just talk about abortion. We are, especially women, like I love the men too, but like we talk about everything with our girlfriends, right? Why do we not talk about abortion? And have you asked your GP if they are pro-abortion? Have you asked your gynecologist if they're pro-abortion? Have you asked your partner if they're pro-abortion? Have you asked, there's and also talking about abortion is something that happens to all of us. It's not something that just happens to poor, desperate, vulnerable people. It happens to 1 in 4 of all women.
Thank you so, so much. We need to wrap it up now, but I want to give a big, big thank you to Justyna, Anton, and Mara, all for coming on. We will put all your organizations and anything you want in our show notes so that our listeners can find them. But I think we'll all appreciate you coming from different time zones today to collect and have this really important conversation. Thank you so, so much. Please let us know if
Thank
there's
you.
anything else you would
Thank
like in
you.
the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Thank
It's great.
you.
It was an honor. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
See you next time.
Bye.
The Guilty Feminist is provided exclusively from Acast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.